everyone. Thank you, Katie Watkins, also, for putting this together. It was so well organized. It's very rare, I think, for many of us to attend a well-organized event. So thank you, Katie. Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy Axler.
Yeah.
Woo! Thanks. This is just like a really nice crowd of people. Wow. I'm blown away. Not that I didn't think you'd all be nice. Actually, I know most of you, so anyway, what we're talking about today, I have several things. First thing, everyone, let's take a moment and think about it. Isn't it so interesting how over the years language grows and evolves and changes? I just think that that's so interesting. Like when you think of a word like sonar, for example. Sonar did not get added into the dictionary until the 1930s, which is so wacky if you think about it, because we've been using sonar since like the 1890s. So, wow. But then you know, it's bigger than that. Everyone, it's bigger than just words. It's like phrases too. Like, I don't know if this is just a me thing, but I've noticed in the past 3-ish months that I've heard at least 5 people use the phrase, "Get it, girl," incorrectly. This affected my life. I was at work, and I said to the room of people I was in, I was like, I'm going to go get some coffee. And they said, "Get it, girl." And I was like, no, that's not what that means. It's so strange. So the other day I was at this comedy show, and the doors of this event venue had not opened yet. So I was instructed to stand outside and wait, and I was one of the first people there because I was so excited. So I was there and I was waiting, and I was standing basically at the entrance to this alley, which runs parallel to the venue where the comedy show was. And so I'm standing at this alley, and I'm there for maybe like 2 minutes when this gentleman runs past me, about 10 feet past me, deeper into the alley, and he like starts vomiting onto the wall and the ground. So I'm like struck, because I don't know what to do or how to help him. And then he's also holding this like to-go container of food, and I'm like, sir, like let it go. Like that's probably why you're vomiting so much. So then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give him space to vomit, because I would prefer space if I was vomiting. So I was like, I'm just gonna stare straight ahead and not disturb the vomit man. But then, you know how sometimes, I feel like most times when you're vomiting, it comes in waves. So like, I'd be like standing and I'd be like, oh, he's finished vomiting. And I'd like look back, and that's like right when he would start vomiting, and I'm like, oh no. So this kept going for over 5 minutes. And then I was like, at this point, concerned. But luckily, his girlfriend, wife, partner was on the other side of the alley, like watching out for him. I was like, okay, good. Like, I'm not the only one experiencing this. So eventually he finishes vomiting. He leaves with this girlfriend, wife, partner. And then 2 things happen. The first thing, people start lining up behind me for this comedy show. And I'm struck because I'm like, I should warn people that they're about to stand in this vomit. But I was like, I don't know how to do that. So I never did. But it's like, also like, you should be a little more self-aware that you're in like a river of vomit. That's one thing. The other thing that happened was right after the vomit man stopped vomiting, he went up to his girlfriend, wife, partner, and she like caressed his face, and then like, I know, and then like pulled him in, and then started making out with him. I know. I was like, and then so they're making out passionately in the entrance of this alley, and then this group of people walk by, and this woman in the group shouts out, "Get it, girl!" And I'm like, no, you don't know what I just saw. Oh, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to say things like, hey, there's vomit over there, or, other things. Like, oh man, the other day, well, let me just tell you this. When I was a kid, everyone used to say, oh, you have a big mouth. And it's like, I think that's why today I struggle with saying things like, hey, there's vomit over there. But it's like, when they said that to me as a kid, it was not that they were trying to be mean. It's like this was a factually accurate statement. I had a too big mouth for my face. I had to get all of these teeth pulled because it was too large. Anyway, it's fixed, everyone. I'm fine. But I went through years of orthodontia and it was insane. Anyway, so flash forward to today. I had an incident where it's I should say something, but I did not. So this is what happened to me. I was invited to do this presentation for this work event, and I was the second presenter during the event. And during the first presentation, we invited outside guests to do the presentation. So every row except the last 2 rows of this venue where we were holding this work event was filled with team members, people I've known for years. And then there was a blank row, and then there was a very last row, and I was like, I'm gonna sit here and wait for my turn to present. So I'm sitting and getting ready to go and do my work presentation. And then I noticed movement happening around this region. So I turn, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm going to try again because this is important, everyone. So I turn, and there's this spider that's hanging, this really large spider hanging from its butt web, basically over my shoulder, and it's descending down from the ceiling, and I'm like, this is my worst nightmare, but also I cannot disturb this meeting. So I slide out of my chair